Boss Insights collaborates with our clients. So when we're working with a bank or a credit union or a private lender, what we're saying to them is you're already looking for ways to accelerate your business lending from months to minutes. And you've been looking at different types of digitization. What we're going to solve here today is getting you access to the accounting information, the banking information, the commerce information that you need in order to decide whether that's a business that you can support and also to service them on an ongoing basis. It will put you in the position to partner with your clients. And that's really what we were demonstrating in the process of applying and being part of the program with Open Banking Excellence. What they're looking to do is very similar to what we are looking to do, the vision behind Boss Insights, which is to democratize access to information. It's everything that we do at Boss Insights is driven by a consent model. So the businesses themselves are giving information to lenders in order to get their loans approved. But if you're doing it in a traditional way, by phone, by email, there's really no control over that information and you have no idea what happens after the fact. If you have it in real time, not only can you get served in minutes, but you can actually transparently see the process, which puts a business in a much more advantageous position to understand where they stand in lending. So,
And how did you actually get involved with the Appathon? Did you know OBE or their partners beforehand?
so it really is such a small world. That's another change that happened due to COVID. And we got the mail outs for OBE and we were actually considering applying. And at the same time, we had one of our advisors who is the executive director of Women in Payments, Christy Duncan, reach out and said, this particular program is an incredible thing for you to be involved in. And the thing about Christy and the work that she's done with Women in Payments is that it transcends just payments or any one category of founder. She really has been transformational in terms of bringing different types of digitization to market. So when she sent us that note, you best believe it was the next thing that we did, and then we were all the better for it because when we connected after winning with Helen and with Robbie to discuss it and the plans for this year, we really made sure to provide that feedback that it was because of the community that we knew exactly what this was going to be going forward. The thing is, any one player in market is only solving one part of it, but by collaborating, by bringing different people with different sets of expertise, we really can address things. So Boss Insights can make it so that a lender, if they wanted this real-time insight, they're just 1 hour away. But that's what we can do, and it's a vacuum unless there's a lender willing to do it. Unless there's an industry organization like OBE, Open Banking Excellence, or Women in Payments that's willing to put so much time and effort to bringing us all together. And so we're here because of that collaboration.
And the payments industry has been turned on its head this last year. How have you found working during the pandemic?
It's really challenging almost to explain it if somebody hasn't gone through it. You feel like you've been through something and you're almost connected to the players who have been through that same thing. It's hard to explain what March and April were because it's nothing that there were people who predicted the pandemic, but I don't think there were people who predicted what was going to happen to the digital lending industry as a result of the pandemic. And when I was on the phone with very large financial institutions, the same ones who had told me they had digitized in 2020, they were placing orders at customer facing stores for laptops because they just didn't have enough. That was March and April. And back then, anybody who had experienced business lending traditionally, knowing how slow and painful it is to process, both for the lenders and for the businesses, these people were talking all the time to say, what are we going to do? We have to isolate to slow a pandemic. And what are we going to do for our industry? And this was before there was any government funding or government programs. What we did was we offered free technology to any lender that would support a new business, because that's actually a lot harder for a lender to do. Not only do you have to evaluate their lending request, but you have to evaluate them doing something called KYC, or know your client. It's an extra level. And Boss Insights, we couldn't make masks or personal protection equipment, but we certainly could make it possible to reach the businesses. That was the beginning. We then saw that the government funding was going to actually get the capital into the hands of the businesses. Was it a perfect scheme? There's no scheme coming out of the government in weeks that will be without any levels of improvement. However, I have never seen such collaboration in the industry. It was incredibly inspiring to see technology providers like Oracle collaborate with Boss Insights, to see different lenders put us through and onto their as one as their service providers in hours, not weeks, hours. And the end result was that businesses lived to grow their business, which is that's the common thread with all of us. That's what we're here for.
And what do you think were those worthwhile takeaways from the Appathon that you got at Boss Insights?
When we had our initial meeting, and I should mention that Open Banking Excellence has been having regular meetings with Boss Insights, asking what can they do? How can they support us? How can we grow together? And we ask the same things back. I was so thrilled to hear the feedback. It is rare in life that you get this very honest feedback. And there was some thrilling information we got. There were some pointers that we got. And it hasn't ended with the award. That's the number one thing that I'd like to everybody to know about. We are having regular meetings and there's regular outreach happening on our behalf. And we get to have that support just because there's an industry program out there, just because we had an advisor who said to us, this is something to be a part of. So I can't overstate, powerful industry players are available to us now as a result of being in this program. And we are lucky enough to be the fintech. Well, we call ourselves a tech fin, more technical than finance, but we are lucky enough to be the tech fin, the winner of the retail and SME category that gets to benefit from these introductions.
And were there any lessons that you take away from the experience?
I think that the experience is ongoing, that we're not done. And the biggest lesson I would say is that when people are willing to help, as a company, you need to come prepared with ideas to help back. So it's not just that you take an award and it's just an award. You turn it into market traction or introductions to potential partners. And that is something that we've been really lucky to do. This is ongoing. So like anything in life, it is what you make of it. This is an incredible opportunity. We are so humbled to be a part of it. There is a lot of work to do in the industry right now. And I'd like to bring up one example of that as we're leading into International Women's Day, which was a question that in our regular call that we had with Open Banking Excellence this morning, they asked me about. So in the first round of COVID funding, I had somebody ask me, you are a diverse founder. And I don't really think of myself as a diverse founder. I think of myself as a founder, right? But the question was, as you are a diverse founder working in an industry that provides capital to businesses, what are you actually doing to ensure capital gets into the hands of people who might be marginalized? And I never forgot the question. I never did. It was very important to address these things. You have things like market segmentation where you go and approach lenders, but we were so proud to have that challenge brought to us. This month, we had an article covered in American Banker that talked about Carver Bank Corp. They're a bank in New York that focuses on female-run companies and companies run by visible minorities, and PayBaby, a broker that has the same focus, and Boss Insights collaborating together to make sure dollars get into the hands of business owners that might be marginalized by traditional facilities, just because they don't fit into a certain box. And so this is something that is a takeaway. This is something that we are working on. This is just the first effort, and PayBaby and Boss Insights are still collaborating to find further ways to support this industry. So that's one example.
And I guess it leads me nicely onto the last question. What's the future from here? Where do you hope to go with what you've learned from the Appathon? Are there products in development?
I think it's easy because we're in the middle of quite a unique moment in history, to focus on what's happening right now as we're isolating and we're having this discussion digitally. Business lending has been changing for a decade. And for close to a decade, there was a CB Insights report saying that the industry was losing 1% market share to the most innovative fintechs out there, but that in 2020, 9% market share was lost. That is staggering. In 9 years like that, and you have a very different looking industry. Now, what lessons we take from that is what product do you want to be providing to businesses as we go forward? Would you like to be selling things like checking accounts and savings accounts and loans, which are commoditizable products? Or would you like to be providing service, the best in class technology, the best in class in financial services to your business clients? That takes attracting the best in class fintech, the best in class organizations like Open Banking Excellence, like your organization, Gina. It's people who are on the front lines every day attracting the newest technology. And then when you go to the customer, you can say, I can get your loan approved in minutes. I can give you a snapshot of what you're doing instantaneously. And you know what else I can do for you? I can identify opportunities for you to save money that you haven't seen before. This is not a checking account and a savings account. This is financial services. And I say this as a former commercial banker, as somebody who has been trying to attract clients in the same space, banks and credit unions and whatnot, but also as a business who now is a client of those same types of companies. We need to collaborate to find an open source way to serve this market to make sure that we are always on the cutting edge. That's what I see going forward.